Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Tacos en Europa. I am Jorge,
My name is Edgar.
and we are here to talk about a brand new match week of Mexicans in Europe. But before we start, you guys already know that this is the only podcast that gives you all the info of Mexicans in Europe in 2 languages, and we talk about every single player. We don't miss anybody. We don't have that many this season, but there's still a couple weeks, still one more week, left in the window, so you never know. Somebody else can come up. So be sure to listen to us everywhere, all podcast platforms, or on YouTube if you prefer some video, and follow us on all social media platforms. Just look up Tacos en Europa and you will find us. Alrighty, okay, let's go ahead and head over to England, starting with Fulham and Raul Jimenez against Arsenal. No goals here yet for Raul Jimenez this season, but I want to say he didn't look bad. I think it was a decent performance.
I will take it a bit further and say he had a great game.
Oh,
because
wow.
again, you're playing Fulham, that it's a team that usually is on the lower end of the table, and last season had a good season, even though they lost a couple of key players, especially the striker. And you're playing Arsenal. You know, they were about to be the champions last season, and this game was all about just exploiting whatever little mistakes Arsenal did and just defend with your teeth and nails, you know.
Yeah.
And Raul was a big part of it. He was a big part of the defense, like pinning in the midfield, like covering. He had like 7 defensive actions, 12 out of 20 duels, and of those 8 were aerials that he won just taking the ball down in clearances. That's how he helped with the defense, you know, like keeping the ball away from Arsenal wherever they could. It was a really, really good game, and he was so close to score like a beautiful scissor kick of a goal. Like it will be like better than that scissor goal from against Panama, I think, you know, the one that got us to Russia, I think, on the 28th. No, on the 14th.
Yeah, it was a good shot. I'm gonna stick to decent game, because personally, like, you know me, I love when Jimenez kind of comes down a little bit and plays more of like a
half striker.
Yeah, like a half striker, and he did not have any key passes in this game or anything like that. That was like
How could you have key passes? They were defending. They were so compact and just playing to the counter that they never had a chance. That's what I say. It's the game that he had to play.
Yeah.
Maybe the 2019 Jimenez could have scored against this kind of opposition.
That's what I want.
But right now with Fulham, it's nothing
that's what I want to see. But
that time's gone, man.
The game in general was a very interesting one. You know, you had that first goal by Fulham, and then, you know, mistakes, and then you get down 2-1. And then that last minute goal at the end again to tie it up and finish the game 2-2. The way it should have. I think it was a deserved tie.
Yeah,
and
it was fair.
Big point for Fulham right now.
Yeah. And since we're talking about great games, now let's go to
it's
the best of games.
I think it's a theme this week, man. Just great games, man. But all right, man. Edson Alvarez, West Ham versus Brighton. You know, I didn't even know, but there was something called the Brighton curse, because West Ham apparently, it's been a while since they beat Brighton, and
look 12, 13 years, something like it.
And I guess you just got to bring a Mexican over. That's the key in order to beat
I mean, they had before, you know, like Chicharito, Barreras. Some people played there before.
You got to bring the right one. You got to bring El Machín to play 84 minutes for you, which was a little longer than should have been. But tell me about Edson Alvarez in this first start for West Ham.
I mean, first of all, it was like I wasn't used to watching West Ham under Moyes, and oh man,
I don't think we're used to it yet, man.
Yeah, I don't think I was used to it. It was like terrorism football, you know. They were by the first half of the game, they were winning 1-0 with like 10% of the possession.
Yeah.
It was like awful for Brighton. I don't know how to explain how much they were just giving the possession away but keeping the control of the game,
and
just going with the counters, because it's not only that they didn't have possession. When they had it, they always draw out a good shot on target. It was really really dangerous.
And it helps to have Antonio on the top doing all the stuff he was
Yeah,
doing, man, to move the
he was
ball up.
great.
Like, oh my god, like it was just the few counterattacks that they could like create. They were all dangerous, man.
Yeah.
It was such an interesting game to see. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and then we were really, what's the word, like surprised that Edson was on the starting 11, because in during the week, Moy said that, oh, Edson has like 20-25 minutes of legs right now, and he puts him in, and effectively he has like 25 minutes of leg, and he played 80.
Yeah.
And he played pretty well, because the setup that they use, it was called 4-1-4-1,
Mhm.
like close to a 4-3-3. But on reality, Edson was so far back, just among the centrals, the central defenders, that they were basically playing a 5-4-1,
Yeah.
a very compact 5-4-1, with the other midfielders just like a little bit up the field, but they were so compact and so well coached. You could see him. It was like a dance. The Brighton was moving the ball in their side of the field, and you could see the whole defense moving at the same pace and the same time, at
Yeah.
the same like direction. And Edson sometimes was out of pace, because he has just trained with them like 2 weeks, and either Suma or the other center back, they push him. They like hit him on the shoulder, or yell at him like,
They
no,
guided
no,
him a
no, you
little
have
bit.
to
Yeah.
move, you have to move, you have to move. By the minute like 40 or something, he was really like in the same beat as them. It was
Yeah.
really really
It,
interesting
it
to
really
see.
shows also like how good he is at understanding the directions of the coach.
Yeah.
And like we were also talking about this during the game too. Like, what a team to join, man. For him, like what a more perfect situation to go into than like a team that's gonna play in that situation that needs that man in the middle to give you that extra
Yeah.
safety, man. Oh my
That's
god.
the thing. Is the midfield. Edson Alvarez is exactly the kind of player that they wanted, seemingly. That is a center back that plays on the midfield.
Yeah.
Because that is what Edson is.
Yeah.
He's a destroyer that will not create with the ball. He will not run with the ball, but will not lose it. And we saw like a really dangerous ball that he had on the box, that he was just like spinning around and dribbling the attackers. It was really
I did not think he was gonna. I thought he was gonna clear that, man. Because this is your first start. You don't want to mess it up. You're doing well.
Yeah,
he literally just
it
dribbled.
was great.
I didn't think he was gonna risk that. My heart sunk, man. I thought it was gonna go wrong. So going on to Spain now, we're starting with Tecatito and Sevilla. A very weird situation, very sad situation, to be honest with you. It's 2 games here. One on Monday with Alaves. It is a 3-4 loss. He plays in the 75th minute. Nothing really much to talk about. But the weird one is the one that happened yesterday. Girona, they lose 2-1. And he only comes in to play 2 minutes. He comes in the added time of the game.
Yeah,
so
that was weird.
What is the point here, man? Like, that to me was disrespectful, man. Like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy seeing that.
Sometimes you make stops that late because you want to lose time, but not when you're losing.
Losing, man. Like, I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know. Like I get they want to sell him, but while you have him, why not just like he can give you what you need? So like I don't.
If you want to sell him, you don't want him to get injured. That's the thing. That just save your players that you want to sell. But who knows? We're going to see.
All right, man. Let's go over to Betis. Andres Guardado today against Athletic Club. They lose 4-2, man. But that's Athletic Club, man. Like I said, every time we get to talk about them, I like to talk about them because they're just such a well-organized team. And man, those Williams brothers, they just did amazing playing together in each wing. It was crazy. He comes in the 74th minute, Andres Guardado, and not really much to do. I think you were talking to me about this nice little long ball that he had to ignite an attack.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Anything else that you saw from him today?
No, it's the same. He is getting in these games in like the last 20 minutes, just playing a midfield role, sometimes as a creative role or as a defensive role. But that's what we're gonna see from him this season. Like every game, he's either gonna close maybe sometime starts in the cup or something. But I think he's going to be this like clear-headed leadership role that's gonna close games for
10,
Betis.
15, like probably average
Yeah,
10, 15, 20 minutes.
maybe a little bit more when the season is going, but who
Yeah.
knows? I think he's fine. Betis has another problems. Their fullbacks were really poor this game. Well, the Williams brothers were really good, so that
Yeah. So
kind of thing.
yeah.
And the sad thing is that this was a 6-point game. Athletic is a team that fights to go to Champions and Europa, so it's the same place that Betis fights for.
Yeah. You want to take these games seriously every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no Andres Guardado slander in this podcast ever. Only positive things to say about him.
Yeah.
Let's go to Las Palmas here. Julian Araujo, again, first start. It is a way better test than the one from last week. Now we have Real Sociedad, a more respectable team in La Liga. 90 minutes from Araujo. A pretty good game, man. I think he did pretty well, and he brought back the same energy that he had in the last game. Now for 90 minutes.
Yeah, his problem is not intensity. He's really good at keeping that energy the whole game. His problem is that he usually doesn't defend well. And this game, well, Real Sociedad is not that strong on the left wing. He's Kubo and the fullback are playing on the good fullback play on the right wing. So that's their dangerous zone where they try to play. Even though Araujo did have a good defensive game. He was dribbled by 2 times and he was dangerous on the attack. So in general, I think he did well. Still, he needs to be coached in how to defend, especially against more physical opponents than him.
Yeah, he had 8 out of 14 duels. 4 out of 7 were in the air. So he did pretty decent. And even going up front, he was partnering up really well with his right winger. He did have a couple of mistakes. Like he had one great counterattack where he had the ball, he was by himself, and then he just messed up the cross. That could have been a pretty good assist. And I did kind of see him passing back a lot. I think a lot of his confidence maybe isn't there yet to just go into and dribble past defenders yet. But I did see him kind of like reserved, or maybe that's just team tactics. Maybe that's just what they want from him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe you don't want to overextend against a team as strong as Real Sociedad.
Yeah, but
still pretty good for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a good game from Araujo this week. Espanyol, Montes is still there, and he was not put up for the game this time. So we'll see at the end of the window if he stays or if he goes. Sporting de Gijón, same story as always. No Jordan Carrillo for whatever reason, but Esteban Lozano comes in and he plays in the 63rd minute, so he gets a good handful of minutes, and I think he does what he's supposed to with him. He does a good job with him.
Yeah, he's playing basically the same games every week. Like he's getting these around 15 touches. He's winning more duels than he's losing. He's creating. Sometimes he even get some key passes. He's doing fine. The thing is, the rest of Gijón is not doing good.
Yeah,
they lost this game against Racing de Ferrol. I don't know what that is. So they're struggling. They really need to get their shit together. I thought maybe if they move this coach, maybe it's time to get Coca in here,
Hey man, yeah, and then if you do that, then for sure 2 Mexicans playing. For sure they'll both come in if Coca comes into this team. We also got to talk about a goal that he scored that was actually taken away for a very, very tight offside. So you can see the quality there, man. I think it's kind of like Jordan Carrillo last season. So we'll see.
He's a little bit more dangerous on front of the goal, even though he's not as tricky with the ball.
Yeah, and he's still playing on the wing, if I'm not mistaken, instead of as in the middle, which is a little weird, but we'll see how they keep going with him. Going over to Italy, starting with Napoli and the disappointment. Nothing from Chucky Lozano against Sassuolo in a 3-1 victory. They're putting Raspadori on the wing, man.
They're putting Raspadori on the wing. Yeah, Lozano is on the bench. We're gonna talk a little bit about why at the end of the podcast on the gossip column, but Napoli is playing a little bit different this season. They're being a little more direct. I don't think we're gonna keep talking about them by the end of the transfer market. I think Lozano is gonna move, but I still like watching uh, Napoli. It's a pretty good team as long as they have Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I believe they took out Raspadori for Elmas once again. I
Yeah.
don't agree with that decision, to be honest. Not because we're Mexican and Chucky bias, whatever, but I do think Chucky gives you
Yeah,
more than Elmas will ever give you.
Lozano is not getting minutes because he's not
He's
good or
new.
he's not ready. He's not getting minutes because he hasn't signed his. We're going to talk about this at the end.
Okay. We'll talk about that. Going over to Genoa, another good game. Like I said, it's a theme this week. We have
Yes.
Genoa versus Lazio, a 1-0 win, Inge. A 1-0 win
Yes.
for Genoa. 90 minutes from Johan Vasquez. And even though his passes do kind of regress back to what we would have called normal last season, everything else was impeccable, man. Impeccable.
Yeah, and this is a very important game because they're playing against the sub-champion of the league. Like last year it's playing Champions League this season.
Yeah.
And they're playing in Roma. Like they were on the Olympic Stadium and they got a win out of Lazio.
Yeah.
That little Genoa just kicking their asses. And Johan was great. He played as a sort of a left fullback that didn't push up.
Yeah.
Like they were playing a line of 4 on the defense and a line of 3 on the attack, if you can imagine it. A little bit like what Juventus was doing a couple of seasons ago. And he was fantastic. He had like 11 defensive actions, 6 out of 7 duels. That's great. And as you said, yes, he had 75% on the passes, but that's because the long passes were like awful, like 1 out of 6 and 1 out of 0 out of 2 crosses.
Yeah.
But that's all. The short passes, he was like 15 out of 16 or something like that. He was really, really good with not losing the ball in the close range, which is the important part for a defensive player. You don't lose the ball close to your goal. So I think he was really good, and he almost scored a banger of a goal with a bad cross that he threw.
Goal.
No, it was gonna be a goal. He wanted to be a cross.
Yeah,
but it was gonna be a great goal. Like hit the post, like Taubin with Tigres last year, I think.
Yeah, like banger of a goal. He said it was a shot, but it was definitely a cross.
It was a cross, but it was so close to be a goal.
Yeah, man. And like what I appreciate about this game was last time I remember him playing against Felipe Anderson specifically.
Yeah,
he looked bad. It was just a bad situation, and now he was the complete opposite. Now he's making Felipe Anderson like look terrible. Like he was taking the ball, he was stripping him, he was shutting him down. It was just like a complete solid section on the field wherever Johan was. And you even saw
he
him
was the best defender.
Times. Yeah, you saw him on the right side a little bit picking up. Like he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something triggered with him after playing with the national team. After Jimmy Lozano gave him the confidence to play for the national team, it just flipped the switch, man. Flipped the switch. What a player. We'll talk about the player of the week at the end of the episode, so make sure you stay for that. But he's definitely a candidate. He's definitely a candidate. Salernitana we will see on Monday. So when you listen to this podcast, that's when they are going to play. We'll talk about them on the next episode. Países Bajos, Netherlands, Feyenoord, starting with Santi Jimenez versus Almere City FC. A 6-1 victory for Feyenoord, which is looking good, but let's not celebrate yet. This is a team that just barely came up from the second division. Feyenoord still needs to show us that they're back, because I don't see it yet, but this is a good step. It's a good step forward.
Yeah, they play really good, but still, as you said, it's a really weak team in comparison. Still, Feyenoord hadn't been able to create a lot, even against like big teams. Still, like Santi scored 2 goals, 1 penalty, and 1 great goal. Same system as last week. A center into the space ball that Santi runs behind the center backs and gets in front of the keeper and just kills it in.
Yeah.
And other than that, he was really good. He he won most of his duels. He had like only 3 shots on goal, and of those, 2 were the goals,
Yeah.
and the other was a really, really clear shot that he could have like got his hat trick, but he didn't. But I'm really liking him this season. I think he's going to be the goal scorer of the season for the Eredivisie
Whoa,
because of
that's
the
bold.
penalties.
That's bold.
No, that's the thing. It's only because now he's going to get those 5, 7 goals that
Okay.
Kokshu had last season. Because all of that, because he is the starter, because Paxiao is getting really, really good at reading him. I think he's going to get a lot of goals this
I'm
season.
gonna wait before saying that for sure, just because I think in this game you had that first goal from him,
Yeah.
and then I think you had one other one that was like a goal from a system. Other than that, you had the penalty, and then Gertruda's goal was just like a banger goal, mistake from Almeria, and then what was his name? Paxiao el otro?
Paxiao, Timber had a great
Timber
goal.
had a great self goal, like a personal goal, you know.
Yeah,
So
a solo.
yeah, solo goal. So now it's kind of like I'm gonna wait for that system to really glue in before I can say like, hey, Santi has what he needs behind him to be that top goal scorer.
I think he's going to do fine. What could change if is in this last week of the transfer period, like they just raided Feyenoord, which is still possible, you know.
Yeah,
Like even Santi could be sold.
yeah. That last week, man. That last week comes by surprise, man. So
Yeah.
we never know what's gonna happen. Ajax, Jorge Sanchez. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Be sure to stay for that. In Belgium, nothing for Gerardo Arteaga once again. We don't have anything to talk about him at the end of the episode, sadly.
Kind of do.
Maybe? All right, stay for that, stay for that. And we have Jorge Rubalcaba, who debuts for the youth team for Standard Liège. It's the SL16 FC is their name. So he's playing in the youth league for the Belgium. And he had a pretty decent game. They did win that 2-1, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I didn't find anything about it, so I didn't touch
it. No goals, no assists, but he did debut, and it's looking good, man. They even had him on the tweet picture. It was him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they want the Mexican kings.
They need the clap, man. You need the clap.
Yeah.
Other than that, let's go to another. Once again, the theme of the episode is good games. AEK Athens, man. Wow, man. This is gonna become probably one of the episode favorites, I believe, man. Just talking about Greece again. They play first against Antwerp in the Champions League qualifier. They lose 1-0, unfortunately. No Pizarro in this game, but we do have Olympia playing 90 minutes here.
And one great goal from Toro Jansen.
El Toro Jansen, man. Yeah, keeping in tune with the Mexican theme of the podcast. I don't think it's that bad. 0-1 away from home.
Yeah, on the Netherlands, it's a decent. No, on the Netherlands, on Belgium, I think. Yeah, it's a decent result. Orbelin had a decent enough game. I think they're not working at the level they usually can, but they're getting it.
I didn't like Orbelin in this one. I think he did struggle a little bit, and hopefully in the second leg we're able to see a little bit more magic so we can make it to the Champions League. We win that game, we go to the Champions League. We lose Europa League, which honestly,
it's fine. It's fine
either way. It's fine either way. But we do want that meme. We do want that Rodolfo Pizarro in the Champions League meme. So hopefully we get to see that. They do also play Panserraikos in the regular season. This is kind of like a resting game for AK Athens because it's a team came up. Yeah, they just came up from second division. So you have Rodolfo Pizarro starting. You have a lot of the bench starting.
Yeah.
God damn, 90 minutes. Whoa, man. What 90 minutes?
I wanted to say it. I wanted to say it because not only this is a resting game, they put the whole bench. Like usually Athens has like maybe 2 Greek players, but this time it like you saw the call sheet. It was like the invitation for my big fat wedding. You know, like Onostopoulos, Takagalopoulos, Tamikilopoulos. That's all the names in the defense on the midfield.
And Pizarro.
Pizarro, that's right. And he had a great game.
Yeah,
he won 2 penalties. Technically he won 1, but they stole another one for him, and that's where the tying goal came from. You know,
Yeah.
he had a really good game. He seems he seems to be playing way faster than I remember him. I remember him being not only a slow player, which he's not running that much, but I remember him waiting too much to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Like that was his biggest flaw as a player, and he was playing the ball really fast. I don't know if Almeida was just like screaming at him to get off the ball every time, but he was doing it really well.
That's what
I was surprised.
Almeida has to be one of those like man managers, like Jimmy Lozano. While we talked about Jimmy, I think Almeida kind of has that too with him. You know, he's just a man manager. And then before we talk a little more about Pizarro, I want to say Pineda does play 45 minutes in this game as well.
Yeah, the second half.
The second half. It's a 1-1 tie. I don't know if we mentioned that, which is bad because you should be winning against this team. But talking again about Pizarro, man, like I saw a lot of what we would see before that Monterrey season and that first season for me that I saw from him in Miami, which is like that confidence, that being able to get in the box, being able to know what to do with the ball. Then you were able to see him on his decline where he kind of like, he held onto the ball a little too long, you know, he didn't know what to do in tight spaces, you know, he passed back a lot. Nothing like that anymore. You can see that confidence back. You can see that Almeida told him something or figured something out for him, because right now, this is not the Pizarro that people were memeing a little while ago.
Yeah, he was really different. I'm just glad for him. I want him to do well. I don't know if maybe by half of the season I'm gonna be asking for him to go to the national team. But for now, I'm just glad he's doing well.
Yeah, we're just happy for him now. We'll hold off on the call-up.
Before we leave here, I just want to say Orbelin was given his trophy for the best player of the season for the Greek league, for our Super League.
No way.
So that's good for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then just to close it off with our managers, we do have Mallorca losing against Granada 3-2, and Rafa Marquez also losing his home opener against Esti Logroñez with Barcelona B Athletic. So yeah, 2 losses for our coaches over there today to start off, but don't worry, man, we'll be back. All right, ENG, player of the week, who was it for you?
It has to be Santi, man. He scored 2 goals, 1 banger of a goal and a pretty well shot penalty. Even though Johan was great, even though I think Raúl did play a pretty good game, it has to be Santi.
Yeah. My temptation is to put Johan Vázquez because I think if Santi did all 2 goals as a striker, I think Johan did like the equivalent as a center back. But 2 goals is 2 goals, man. You can't just you can't take that away. So I'm gonna give it to Santi. I like though that we're on the 4th episode of the season and we're already struggling to give out that award. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, there've been a couple of weeks, and not because they all sucked, but because they played well
for positive ways. So it's a good thing. Game of the match week. Who'd you like?
Oh, it has to be West Ham, man. You know, I like those terrorism ball games.
Yeah, you like to suffer, man. You like to suffer. I know that.
Oh, no. I like to see the contagion suffer, you know.
The
like I
fans
have the ball, but why are they so happy with it?
Why are they so happy that I'm shooting at them? Yeah, man. I love that game. I do want to say that I did enjoy. Honorable mention that Fulham game was also really interesting, but my pick is going to be the Genoa right now. Genoa Lazio. Obviously, that little David Goliath situation, and not only Genoa playing amazing. I know we're not supposed to talk about our players when we talk about the game of the week, but it does kind of give a little caveat that Johan Ossi played really well during this game. So
it was a good game.
Yeah, Genoa Lazio for me, I think.
That's fine.
All right, ENG, extra column while we were waiting for. What did you find this week? What kind of news did you find out there in the social media, man?
Yeah, on the gossip column, we have Jorge Sanchez seems to be like everything but done into going to Porto. It's a fine place for him to be. I hope he does well. I don't know. He's very physical. That might help him. We can only hope, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a loan with like an obligation to buy if they reach a certain number of games.
The thing is, it definitely is a team where there's no room for error. It's you know, you mess up, you're on the bench because they're trying to win. Like they're looking.
Yeah, Porto is a big team in Portugal, so they're gonna be fine. And another one is Chavez is already on Russia. I don't know if we're going to be usually talking about him in the podcast, but like he is on Dynamo. They were already he was presented already, so that's that.
Yeah.
Like whatever. And the big thing this week is PSV made an offer for Irving Lozano from Napoli, and it seems to be like really serious. They offered like 10 million. Lozano hasn't signed the extension with Napoli, and seems to be like Napoli's like, no. You want to buy it? You need to give at least 15.
Mhm.
And 15 million is a lot for PSV, but at the same time, they're going to sell Bakayoko for something like 30 or more.
Dang.
So Lozano is way better than Bakayoko. So maybe it's worth it for them because he's also a club legend, So, can you imagine having Luke De Jong and Irving Lozano being covered by Eredivisie defense? It's gonna be really, really
It's tough,
good
man.
for them. Yeah. So that's that in the Lozano. I think it will be fine for him.
Yeah.
I would
But before
like
you go
him
to the
stay
next
on
one, how would you feel about him back in the Eredivisie, man? Like,
I think I would prefer if he went to like Spain or something like it. Maybe stay in Italy and a lower team, but it's fine. I just want to see him like keep scoring. He needs to come back as a goal scorer that he can be, And
I just want to see him on the left, man. I just want to see him on the left. Honestly, man.
And I don't know if PSV is going to do that for
That's
him.
the thing. That's the thing.
Who knows? Let's see. And another thing is now, as long as we're talking about wingers, Tecatito Corona to Monterrey seems to have cooled off. The fact that he's getting those little minutes every end of the game seems to indicate that Sevilla wants to keep it, or at least the coach.
Mhm.
Because usually, if you want to sell a player, you don't put him in for any reason because you want to you don't want to risk him getting hurt.
Yeah.
So I think he might stay another season or at least half a season, hopefully. Montes is still fighting to leave Espanyol. Who knows? And yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen because Espanyol really they're losing against like teams that just ascended to. And Heriberto Jurado from Necaxa is maybe going to Barça Athletic, and Arteaga might be going to France. Who knows?
All right. That's all we have then for the week. So we're running out of time, guys. So we will see you guys next week. I am Jorge.
My name is Edgar.
See you guys next week to talk about what happens in Europe.
Que chinga su madre el de España.